Now in this tutorial video I'm going to show you how to create this object that I've got on the screen here. This is just a practice one to get you used to cutting out different shapes and to start adding things like chamfers and yeah, just generally getting you used to how Solidworks works and how to use it. So what I'm going to do is close this and I'm going to open up a fresh page and I'm going to open a new part, click OK. Now, the general rules with SolidWorks is that you can either draw on a plane, which you can see on the left side here in the history tree, or you can draw on a flat surface. So it is important that you do either draw on a plane or a flat surface. In later tutorial videos, I'll show you how to add planes in case you're doing any curved objects that don't have any flat surfaces to draw on. So to start this one, we're going to draw on the front plane, and when I select that, you can see that I get the option to sketch. What this does is it rotates the camera so that I'm looking down on this plane here. So I'm going to draw the front plane, and I'm drawing on it as if this was a piece of paper at the moment, so it's like a flat surface. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the drawing tools up the top here. I'm going to use the one that is the rectangle tool. You click once to put the shape down, drag it across, and then click again, and it places the shape down. Then I'm going to use the smart dimension. What this allows me to do is add dimensions, and it will change the size of the lines to the size that I specify. So I'm going to click on the line. I'm going to change this to 90 millimeters, and I'm going to change this to 90 as well. Just a point to make here: if yours is not in millimeters, so when you're typing and it's not saying millimeters at the end, if you go down to the bottom right here, you can see that it says mmgs. What you can do is you can select different measurement types. If yours is in inches, pounds or seconds or any others, just change it to millimeters, because all my measurements will be in millimeters, so it is far easier to work in the measurements that I am using. Now back to this. So we've got our sketch and a 90 by 90 square. What we're going to do is click features and then extrude boss base. What this does is it extrudes it to make it into a 3D object. So whenever you're drawing something, you always do it in a sketch, and then when you want to do something to a sketch to make it 3D or intersect something or cut something, you always do a feature. So what I'm going to do is, if I hold down my middle mouse button, I can rotate the camera around. I'm going to click and drag on this kind of grey arrow that you can see in the middle. What this allows me to do is to move and get my shape to the size I want. So for us, we're going to do it to 75 millimeters across this way. So you can also type it in the left side here. You get two green ticks and two crosses. There's one on the left side here and there's one on the right side here. They both do exactly the same thing. So just push the green tick, and then we should have our 90 by 90 has now been extruded to go 75 across. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw on this plane here, so well, this face here. So what I do is I can click on it, you'll see it goes blue, but once I've clicked and selected it, you see a menu appear. This menu gives us the option to edit feature. If I click edit feature, it takes me back into changing the sizing, and you can see it's the 75 again. If I click on that and I choose edit sketch, it takes me back to editing the 90 by 90 sketch. So it's quite helpful if you ever need to go back and change some of your measurements, that you can actually edit them as you go. If you click on the front though and we select sketch, what this allows us to do is draw on this surface. What we're also going to do now is we're sketching on this surface, and we know we're in sketch because at the top right here you'll see that you've got this kind of exit sketch button and a red cross, and also you can see you've got an exit sketch here. So if I try to sketch on this surface here, I can't because I'm already in a sketch. So sometimes you'll need to exit sketch before you can go and sketch on another surface. So do bear that in mind, that you can only do one sketch at a time. If I click on here, sketch, to look at it as we did before, so it was like a flat page, press the spacebar and then do normal 2. And what this does is zoom us in so that we're looking just at this space here, and it keeps us flat on so that we're face onto it, so it makes it a bit easier for us to work with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the cutout, so it was almost like a H-shaped cutout. We're going to do the bottom half to start with. So I'm going to add a line on the bottom here. You'll see that I get this yellow guideline which tells me that I'm drawing straight up. To deselect the tool, I push escape, and then I'm going to go back to my line tool to draw another line. And again, you'll notice that I'm making sure that they lock onto this bottom point here. So I always make sure that my lines lock to each other, because if you have any gaps, you won't be able to extrude cut or to extrude it to add material. Next, what I'm going to do is Smart Dimension, and what I can do is select the line and then select this bottom left corner here. And what it does is it allows me to choose how far I want this line to be away from here. So I want this to be 20 millimeters. Push the green tick, or you can push enter, and then again orange, and then the corner in this one, and 20 millimeters, green tick. And then I'm going to select my line tool, and I'm actually going to lock onto these and line these up together. Okay, now what you'll notice is that obviously these are different heights, so we want to be able to add a measurement and smart dimension this to be the correct height. So if I want to delete something, I can click on a line and then just push the delete key, which is to the right of the enter key normally, if you're not sure what that is. What I want to do is I want to make these lines 40 millimeters tall, or 40 millimeters high. So I select, so they go orange, 40, green tick, and then 40, and green tick on this one. Oh, if, like this one here, I haven't changed the measurement, you can actually just double click on the measurement again. And what it will let you do is go in and type 40, and then green tick it. And then you want to do your line tool across here, lock across there, and then I'm going to do the bottom here. And you'll notice when I line this up here that this is now blue, which signifies to me that this is a closed boundary, which means there's no gaps anywhere. If there was like an extra line coming off here, it might confuse kind of when you're trying to extrude cut this, because it would see it as a different profile. So do make sure that you don't have any extra lines. If you wanted to, let's say you had an extra line here, and you only wanted to get rid of part of the line, you can use the trim entities here and trim to closest, and what it will do is trim to the closest lines here. So if I click that, it then trims to the closest here, so where the next intersecting line is. Once we've got this and we've got our 40 millimeters high, 40 and 20 in, 20 in, features extrude cut this time. Last time you did boss base, which is adding materials. Extrude cut will take away the material now. And we should have this already selected. And at the moment you can see mine doesn't go all the way through. Yours might appear to be going all the way through, which is what we want. So it doesn't matter if you end up cutting extra, because we do want it to cut all the way through. And then green tick on the right or green tick on the left. And then we've got our first cutout. We're then going to sketch on this again, and spacebar normal 2. And then this time I'm going to draw a line going down here. I'm not letting it intersect with this line here, because if I allow it to intersect with this line here or attach to here, I then won't be able to move this or set any measurements to it. So if yours has done that, just click the line and delete it, and then just draw the line a bit further away from these, because I'll show you an example here. So let's say I line this up with this, and then I connect it to the top, push escape. If I now try and smart dimension this, so I'll choose the orange and to this corner here. If I now try to do that, it comes up saying make dimension driven. Basically what it's saying is it can't change this measurement here because it will no longer work with this here. So it's no longer going to be level with this. So it's basically over defining it, so it means you're trying to do too much. Same would happen if you tried to add two measurements to the same line and things like that. So I would get the error if I added a dimension here and had it at 45.76 and I try to do it here. You get the same error because you're trying to do two different dimensions for the exact same measurement, so it doesn't work. So if I want to delete that, I can actually select it and push delete. But I do want this measurement. Actually, no, I will delete that one. So delete that. What we want to do is we want this point here, so same as we did with the bottom. We want this bit to be 50 millimeters away this time though, and we want it to be 15 millimeters from this edge here. And then from the base, so I'm actually going to do a point from here to the bottom, and I want it to be 60 millimeters away from there, and 60 millimeters away from the bottom here as well. And then what I'm going to do is connect these together, And again, I haven't completed the shape, so there's no actual profile to extrude yet. So I'm going to connect this one. You'll see it's gone blue because I've got my solid shape. Now I can do my features, extrude cut, and I can cut all the way through. So I've got my basic shape to start with. I'm going to leave this video here, so get to this stage and then you can move on to the next video where I'll show you how to do the next shapes and to add the whole cutouts as well.